Welcome back, everybody. It's Friday, and today we are previewing hashtag UFC Vegas 12. Dom,
1-2.
the end of another week. How are we doing?
Very well. Fun fact, we are having the first ever UFC event on Halloween this Saturday night, and we're here to break it down.
Yeah, happy spooky season.
The end of spooky season,
As
but, you know.
That is interesting, and I think that this poster really represents that well.
It gives the vibes of spooky season.
Yeah, for sure. It's been an interesting week, hasn't it?
It has.
It feels like it's been a while since we had last been in the studio.
It does. It really hasn't been, but it's just
because
so hard without you, Noah.
Yeah.
You know.
You know, for those of you that maybe aren't aware, we had to postpone Wednesday's special episode to this upcoming Wednesday. That's what I'm looking for, upcoming. But even though that was kind of unplanned,
it works out better.
The plan moving forward, and it's been kind of decided for a while now, was that we were going to start doing our special episodes bi-weekly.
Yeah.
That's kind of like it's more like expect like 2 a month.
Yeah, and like
that's because it could be like you were mentioning in your post you made on Instagram and Twitter. Right. It could be back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, it just depends on.
We could go 2 weeks without one.
Yeah,
It. You know, it's all about. There's a lot that factors in play. Like, we've been pretty blessed so far to have had a UFC event every week.
Yeah.
But if there's a time where that isn't the case, then that Wednesday episode's probably going to be more integral just to keep a consistent schedule. But it's kind of an awkward thing, right? To, like, when we planned this, we were like 3 videos a week.
Yeah.
And even when we started, we weren't planning to do special episodes every week.
That's true. It just kind of happened.
It just happened because I think we just got really into it. And, you know, not that we still aren't, but we're just realizing as we think long term about this, thanks to your all support, we have to start thinking long term.
And we've got some fun ideas in mind down the pipeline to, I don't want to give away anything, but like take place for special episodes. It's some things that we're working on for the future.
For sure. And I guess what I was getting at there was that when we had to start thinking about things long term, inevitably, if we kept going week to week on these special episodes, eventually we're gonna run out of ideas.
Yeah, we were gonna get to a point where we're like, damn, it's kind of hard.
Yeah, I mean, by no means are we out of ideas right now, and that's why it's hard to like make the switch.
Yeah,
like it's been.
We have to pump the brakes.
Yeah, but I think it's important, even though right now it may come off like they're starting to lessen their.
No.
We're still.
This is like for a long haul type deal here.
Yeah. So I think it's a smart idea, and I think it just so happened that we had to postpone Wednesdays, but it works out better.
Yeah, it works out because now it's going to be the first Wednesday of November, and then from there it's like boom, okay, the bi-weekly begins, and it will make the special episodes, as we love to say, a little more extra special.
Ooh, I like that
because
a little more.
Now y'all got to wait that one extra week.
You gotta wait just a little extra.
Like, you're gonna come in week 2 November and be like, damn, I wanted an episode. But then you're gonna be like, oh, but I can't wait for next week's. But then does that add more pressure on us to make them even better?
Oh yeah,
we gotta bring it.
We gotta bring it.
All right.
I think
we always
will. We got it.
Anyways, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, 100%.
So much to come.
Yeah, there's a lot to go over today.
Yes, there is.
Not only are we obviously previewing this card on Saturday for UFC, we're also going to be recapping Bellator 250, at least the main event.
Yeah, doing a recap in a preview for another... And the news.
And the news.
Hello.
Obviously.
I mean, yeah.
So, obviously a lot to go over here. I don't think there's any better way to start than with the news.
The news.
We start with Bellator.
Yes.
Because, again, we're starting with our fight announcements here. Bellator Women's Flyweight Championship. The next fight has been booked December 10th. Alima Leigh McFarland.
Ooh.
The dominant women's flyweight champion over in Bellator. Going up against another undefeated women's fighter, Juliana Velasquez. Dom.
Tell him.
One of those O's has got to go.
Yes. We love this.
Yeah. And, I despite our relative infancy in embracing Bellator and really watching it, Alima Leigh McFarland is someone who I've been hearing about for a while now.
Yeah.
This is a badass chick.
Yeah, as Dana White would say, if you don't know, you're about to know. I just changed that shit.
Yeah.
Because Lima has been the flyweight champion at Bellator since November of 2017.
Right.
She's on a 10-fight win streak. As you said, she's undefeated. And she's tied for third in Bellator history for most submissions with 6. She's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, what's one of the things that I always say is not that women's MMA isn't great, it is, but you typically see less finishes in women's MMA than you do in men's. I'm not going to break down the science of why that is, because that's out of my that's out of our pay grade.
Yeah.
But ultimately, when you look at her resume here, 11 wins, 8 of them by finish.
Yeah.
This woman's going in there and finishing you. Yeah, 6 of them by submission. Obviously, this woman, she's got to choke your ass out.
Yes.
But she's going up against Juliana Velasquez here, who is 10-0. This woman kind of has the reverse thing going on. 5 of her 10 wins by finish, 4 of them by TKO KO, and 1 submission. So you kind of get that classic grappler versus striker. And I think that's going to lead to a pretty good matchup here. Good test for McFarland, as really she hasn't been tested too much.
That's true. She's made it look easy.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that Velasquez is necessarily going to be the one here. I think that's an uphill battle for sure.
But as we like to say, undefeated for a reason.
Undefeated for a reason. And, yeah, I mean, God, you look at the run McFarland's been on here. She debuted for a promotion in her second professional fight back at Bellator 141 in August of 2015. Since then, it's been mostly finishes.
Yeah.
I mean, her last fight was a decision over Kate Jackson at 236, and her debut was a decision. But in between those, again, you mentioned it, she's 10-0 in the promotion.
Yeah.
She only has 3 decisions in Bellator, so like it's not like she was just beating up cans on the regional circuit.
Right.
She's beating some of the top women in the world.
Yeah. Do we ever see Lima make the jump, Noah?
Talking about to the UFC?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. It wouldn't
it's
surprise me.
so hard to predict something. What is her age?
She's 30.
30?
Yeah.
Okay.
She turns 31 in April. So she's in her prime right now.
Yeah.
She's big for flyweight.
Mm-hmm.
Like she looks like she could fight at bantamweight, which I could realistically see her doing as she gets older. Once it becomes harder to cut that weight, I could totally see her moving up to bantamweight and making a run there as well.
Bellator has begun embracing that kind of champ status. It seems to just be everywhere these days.
Yeah,
but it's cool to see.
100%.
There's a lot of big Bellator championship fights on the horizon. We've got the Featherweight Grand Prix next month. There's some fun stuff. Corey Anderson makes his debut next. Not a title fight,
but it's still a big
makes his debut next week. So
Bellator's they're slowly but surely working their way back to making some big moves here and trying to make this 2020 as best it can be. Our next fight announcement. We're back to the UFC now for these next 2. Junior Dos Santos. We last saw him getting TKO'd by Jairzinho Rozenstruik at UFC 253.
Yeah, we've been seeing that a lot recently.
Yeah,
at JDS.
it's the best of the best in the heavyweight division, but you have to wonder where JDS truly, like, where does he truly, what's his stock right now?
I wonder more from a mental state too. Like,
this is a big test for him because he's going up against Cyril Gane, who is ranked, I want to say like
13th right now, undefeated at 6-0. He
It's
was
a
just
big
scheduled
test.
to fight this past week, and it fell through due to some shit with his opponent.
Yeah, that was weird.
But now he's fighting JDS. I'm like, I'll take that.
Yeah, JDS is ranked 7th, Cyril Gane ranked 13th. This matchup makes a lot of sense. Gain is the rising prospect, a guy who's got some hype around him.
Yep.
While JDS is on his way out, I guess that's the way we're looking at this right now. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this matchup and kind of, you mentioned it when I said it. You said he's been getting finished a lot lately. Yeah. So are you feeling a little pessimistic about JDS's chances in this matchup?
I am, unfortunately. I think Gain is a legit threat and a new prospect that we talk about this all the time for the heavyweight division. And I will say on the flip side, we just saw this kind of situation happen recently with Overeem versus Sakai, and we saw the veteran experience come out in favor of the vet there, and Overeem got the big win and stopped kind of that, I don't want to say hype train for Sakai, but a young up-and-comer that was well on his way and got stopped in his tracks by the vet. So maybe we do see the same thing play out here, but again, 3 straight TKOs for JDS. I think it's more of like, where's your mental state going to be at coming into this one? Because we know JDS is in great shape. He's always been in fantastic shape, no matter what age he is. So I think it's just getting his head right, and that's kind of the biggest task here I think it had for him.
Yeah, it's tough to predict. JDS is a legend, a pioneer, if you will, of kind of that post-Brock Lesnar heavyweight division, him and Cain Velasquez with that amazing trilogy. But that's been almost a decade ago. Yeah,
he's been around for a while.
He's been in wars. He fought for the heavyweight belt. Actually, it was Stipe's second title defense.
Yep.
Back at UFC 211.
Yep, 211 in Dallas. Joanna and Jessica Andrade was the co-main.
So he's still been fighting at the top of the top these last few years, but 3 straight TKO losses. I believe it was Ngannou was one of them, correct? Who was the second one?
We've got Ngannou, then Blades, then Rosenstruik.
Yeah, Blades, that's right. I forgot about that one. Now, those are literally 3 of the top 5 heavyweights. Yes. 3 of the top 4, maybe.
It's the top 3.
Yeah, behind Stipe. Yeah. So, that's, if you want to look at it optimistically, is that, you don't want to see a guy getting finished that often, but it's to the legit 3 best, 3 biggest contenders in that division. But yeah, he is going up against someone who is ready to make that next step, I think, Cyril Gain. His last win was against another rising prospect, Tanner Boser.
Yep. That
was in December. That was the Korean Zombie Frankie Edgar card that capped off 2019. So we haven't seen him in a while. So this fight's going to be very important for him.
That's a huge
That's December 12th, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. That's UFC 256, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that is UFC 256.
So, big fight for that card. These end of the year cards.
They're really coming together.
And people are kind of shitting on them, and I'm not here for it.
No, if we're talking top to bottom, from prelims to main card, there's going to be fights that are great throughout all of it.
Yeah,
they're
agreed.
Really good fights.
And then to finish off our fight announcements part of the news today, it's a big one.
You like this one.
Yeah, this one gets me excited. Dominic Reyes, who we just saw have a very tough loss in his second, his second
title fight?
Title fight, yeah. Back at UFC 253, he has booked his next fight.
Yes.
It's looking like he's going to be headlining a fight night on February 27th.
Way out in February.
End of February, 2021. And he's going up against, I believe, the number 6 ranked light heavyweight. A guy that I'm a big fan of, the former Ryzen light heavyweight title holder, Yuri Prochazka.
It's fun.
Jiri has literally only fought once in the UFC, in an amazing performance against Volkan Oezdemir.
You called
Great fight.
You had the bet on him that night and everything.
Too bad I did a parlay and lost already by that point. But this is a big fight for Jiri here.
Oh yeah.
I don't think Dominic. It's tough because Reyes wants to go in there and get a big bounce back, and he inevitably could. Jiri's he's a wild man. He's got a wild style to him. Dominic's a little more composed, a little more technical. But in this matchup, for Jiri, I mean, he wins this, and he's likely looking at a title shot.
He's got the experience, too, man. 31 fights to Dominic's 14, which is wild to think of. I do believe if Jiri were to win here, depending on how there's a lot that there's a lot Thiago and Glover, but I think he can very well earn a title shot.
Yeah, and while Dominic, he wants to bounce back, but I don't feel like if he loses here, it's necessarily like obviously it's tough. It's back-to-back losses, or back-to-back-to-back losses.
It would be 3 if he were to lose.
But the Jones one, we won't. Yeah. It was really close. But if he were to, let's say, get finished similarly to how he did against
Jan, looked incredible. Yeah.
I don't think that it's going to necessarily hurt him too much. So I think this is kind of a good choice for a fight back because it's one that he can win. Obviously, anybody can win, but he does have some advantage on paper. However, if he were to lose, I don't think it necessarily it drops him a couple spots in the rankings, but he's still in the top of the top. Yeah,
there's worse losses out there.
And especially when right now that division is just up for grabs. He'll be fine if he were to lose this, but huge opportunity here for Prochazka to really show that he is one of the top guys in the world.
Yeah.
Beating Volkan Oezdemir, a guy who had fought for the title against Daniel Cormier just a couple years ago, and finishing him the way he did, showed a lot. Obviously, the UFC are kind of buying into him, kind of giving him this opportunity here.
Yeah, if you debut against anybody in the top 10, then you have hype behind you.
Here's a question I'll pose that doesn't involve either of these guys. Where does this leave Alexander Rakic?
I literally thought the same thing when we started discussing this.
Because, Prochazka was kind of calling for a matchup with Rakic, and Rakic was like, I'm not looking back, I'm looking forward.
I guess if we're talking that way, we're assuming the winner of Thiago and Glover get the next title shot. I would assume the loser of Thiago Glover, ? If he's not wanting to go back in the rankings.
Yeah.
And Yuri's literally 5th, so all he was going to do is fight one less spot. It's I guess you kind of have to fight Glover or Thiago then. Mm-hmm. But then if I'm him, I'd rather fight a guy coming off a win than a guy coming off a loss. I don't want to get into it. But yes, what's next for him? Probably one of those two.
Because he's kind of the odd man out right now. Yeah. Obviously, a lot could change, as it always does. This is the end of February. We're talking here. For all we know, this fight won't even happen. But still, it's very interesting as this is kind of turning into one of the more interesting divisions to watch out for, especially when you got guys like Izzy and John Jones just hovering on the outside looking in, potentially making a splash.
Just when we thought the boogeyman was gone.
Yeah.
He's still right there.
Yeah, so it's, calling him the boogeyman. Izzy's right there too.
I was calling both of them the boogeyman.
But yeah, that's happening February 27th, headlining a fight night as of now. Amazing matchup. Yes. That'll be a great main event for a card that's free, kind of free. Kind of free.
Sort of, kind of.
But
you gotta read the fine print.
That's the end of the fight announcements, and here's a bit for the rest. So we start, also, this is March 2021, so we're going even further into the future.
2 fun things for March of 21.
Well, yeah, okay, this is true, yeah. That's my fault. We got 2 things here for March 2021.
Shit,
potentially, maybe a better way to word it is the spring of 2021.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
The UFC is looking at, for March, April, May time,
one of them.
We got 2 potential title fights that in our top 2 divisions in heavyweight and light heavyweight here.
Yes, we do.
We'll start with light heavyweight. Jan Blachowicz, obviously, with that huge win. Polish power is never been bigger.
Oh, no.
But he's potentially, and I'm very shocked about this one, but it's looking more and more possible that Israel Adesanya might be making that jump sooner than we expected to light heavyweight to try to dethrone Polish power. So that's interesting, right?
It is.
But I'm gonna stack
But
these.
Wait, yeah.
But wait, there's more. At heavyweight, it's looking like March might be when we get to see our boy, our GOAT, Stipe Miocic, back in a rematch with Francis the Predator Ngannou.
Oh.
I got a little chill down my spine.
I feel the fog of Halloween creeping in here.
Yeah, so these two fights.
Huge fights.
Stipe Francis makes all the sense in the world
that's
to me.
Gonna happen.
To me, that's the fight to make a heavyweight.
Yeah.
Unless if you're not going to put John Jones in there, I guess. But even then, I think it should be Stipe Francis, no matter what. However, I'm not as big on the Jan versus Izzy fight.
I think it's kind of hard to... I don't want to say it's hard to sell, because Israel's obviously a superstar, but, this is going to sound bad, but, it's more so from a Jan perspective, should he be fighting a guy like Izzy? And I'm saying that I'm not even... That's going to make me sound mean, but I'm not... You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Are you trying to say words over there?
It's a huge money fight. Is it even a money fight though? I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't like it.
I think it's a legacy fight for Izzy.
Yeah, it's built for Izzy and not for Jan, but Jan's still getting to fight.
Imagine the rub Jan gets if he...
Especially if you're to win.
Look, I've counted out Jan every step of the way.
You said next time he fights, you're not counting him out.
Shit. I've also counted out Adesanya every step of the way.
You just can't pick for that fight, though.
I'm
just call it a draw.
I'm picking a draw.
Okay.
Jan, I picked Rockhold to beat him.
Yeah.
I picked Jacare Souza to beat him. I picked Corey Anderson to beat him.
Yeah.
I picked Dominic Reyes to beat him.
Yeah. Starched them all outside of Jacare, but...
Yeah. The less we talk about that fight, the better.
I don't like it. I don't want this. I think Jan needs to at least defend the title once against the light heavyweight.
Well, especially if one of these guys coming up here, next
weekend,
Thiago Santos and Glover Teixeira, especially if one of them makes a huge statement.
That's a clear-cut number one contender fight.
Okay, even if, let's say it's not the most, let's say it's a pretty boring fight. Let's say neither guy looks good. Okay, maybe you're, not as into the idea of giving either one of them a title shot.
Right.
But the fight hasn't happened yet.
Right.
So this fight's not booked. I think it's more UFC's probably having talks with. There's probably so many different talks that go on over there that get new things are brought in every day, new things are thrown out into the trash every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fight business is constantly moving. I mean, if you look at if we went back and looked at the news segment from our very first episode, it'd probably be like, holy shit, that.
Yeah.
That much has happened in 2 months.
We're gonna need to do a rewatch episode at some point.
Yeah.
But
so what I'm getting at here is that basically I'm not for it. I think that the winner of Santos Teixeira should be fighting for the belt next.
And I need Izzy versus Rob 2.0.
I told you I'm sold on it now. Rob has proven that, he's shown me enough to be like, maybe he's got a chance. Obviously anybody has a chance, but you know what I mean? Maybe he's not completely outmatched like he looked in the first fight.
I feel like there's so much more for Izzy to do still at middleweight first. We're talking guys like Hermanson, Till. The Till fight, we love that fight so much.
Well, Till has to earn it.
I know, man. It's
that's the problem. Because that's the problem is understandably, Izzy might not be super into the idea of fighting Whitaker again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been only a year
since
he beat him. So what I'm saying is, if Cannonier had won, clear cut.
Yeah.
All right, new blood at the top.
Yeah.
But think about this: we were pitching. I mentioned Derek Brunson versus Cannonier.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Izzy already starts Derek Brunson. That was his coming out party.
Yeah.
So he's really been beating a lot of these top guys. Yes, you do have guys like Hermanson, even Cannonier still out there, Darren Till. Mm-hmm. But those guys haven't really earned it yet. Hermanson can earn it with the win.
I think Till would have to starch Hermanson.
Yeah, it's kind of tough there, but
the only fight right now for me that I would like to see Izzy do that's not middleweight is John Jones. But then it's like, that fight's kind of hard to pitch if one of them's not a 205-pound champ. Like, you really going to do Izzy versus John Jones for no belt? I mean, you can.
I mean, it's a grudge match for sure.
So it's just, it's.
I mean, it's kind of reminiscent of, even though the fight never really delivered, the beef between Izzy and John. It's kind of reminiscent of Rampage Jackson, Rashad Evans back in the day. They headlined a card, wasn't for a belt.
Yeah.
Fight ended up not delivering, but
I mean, Izzy Jones would be huge. Don't get me wrong. There doesn't have to be a belt. It's just like weird.
Well, my worry here is that we're getting into. We have a lot of matchups where you're talking about people headlining cards, but they don't have belts. You got Conor Poirier that's looking more and more likely every day. Then you got Colby Masvidal that could potentially headline a card. Mm-hmm. And then you got this matchup, Jones versus Izzy, that could potentially headline a card. There's only you still got to have champions fighting at some point.
Yeah.
You can't just do a whole year of non-title fight.
If we want to look way down the pipeline, Habib GSP. I don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's a lot of shit here, a lot of moving pieces. I don't want it.
I think we're just not super supportive of Jan Izzy right now.
Right now. That's the key words there. Am I opposed to Izzy going up in the future? No. Am I opposed to Jan versus Izzy? No. I think that's actually kind of an interesting
honestly,
fight.
if they booked it, like let's say this fight next Saturday ends up being kind of a dud, and they booked it right after that for March or whatever, February, I would still be excited for it.
Yeah.
But would it be my preferred choice? No.
No. Yeah, that's a good one.
Preferred choice right now is actually Whitaker 2. Who would have thought? Me.
Izzy Whitaker 2 and Jan versus winner of Teixeira and
That's how it should be.
But we'll see.
Yeah. And our last bit of news here. Robbie Lawler, unfortunately, my guy.
Yeah.
He is out of his scheduled fight with Mike Perry due to an injury that was booked for UFC 255. There's a little bit more to this.
There is.
But I do want to just start by saying that I completely jinxed this.
This is funny, actually.
So
we forgot about that fight.
So I was up pretty late one night, and I was just, once I've slept a lot during the day or whatever, and I'm up at night, I just start, digging deep.
Yeah.
I was looking back at some things, and I was looking at the card for 255 because everybody keeps shitting on it, and I'm like, why? I'm like, it's a good card.
Yeah,
I get it. The title fights might be a little one-sided on paper, but there's a lot of good fights on there. Yeah. Brandon versus Brandon. Hello.
Oh, that's the one I'm most excited for.
Anyways, I was looking, and I was like, oh shit. We talked about that. I was like, Robbie Lawler, Mike Perry. I was like, damn, I forgot about that. So I literally went to Twitter and typed in, searched, I think, Robbie Lawler or Mike Perry, one of the two, just to see if it had officially been, because it was still on Wikipedia it was under announced bouts, but it wasn't confirmed. And all I could find was Ariel, the piece that we used for our news segment that week, which was Ariel Helwani's tweet about it. So I literally sent it to you. And I was like, damn, completely forgot that this fight was on 255 as well, because we had been talking about how this card is slept on.
It's deep. It's so much so that we thought, is this going to be like a prelim headliner? We just don't know.
But not even 24 hours later.
Yeah.
The fight was officially off.
Yes, Robbie Lawler out due to injury.
So I completely jinxed this one.
Basically.
But Mike Perry...
The ball's on this guy. This guy's crazy.
Isn't he fucking awesome? No, I'm just kidding. But
tell him what he did. Because I wouldn't do this.
Mike Perry, he's like, all right, I lost my matchup with Robbie here, a legend.
Let's take a harder fight.
Who out there can I fight? So he's calling for a matchup at middleweight with a Mr. Khamzat Chimaev. Now,
I like it.
Last week,
we spoke on a fight with Chimaev.
Chimaev is headlining a fight night in December against Leon Edwards
at welterweight.
At welterweight.
Yes.
So,
So you're telling me there's a chance?
So, considering how Chimaev's kind of just been more than willing to go back and forth, willing to fight twice in a week, what have you.
Yes.
It's kind of weird that I could totally see this happening.
Oh yeah, I think this is where the UFC led him, because I can't imagine Chimaev wouldn't be down, because it's at the other weight class, so he can still get another win. Then he's got a welterweight fight. Then it's like, holy shit, this guy's literally the king of the UFC by the end of 2021. I'm all for it, as a matter of fact. I love it. The problem is, actually, there is no problem, because they would immediately bump off a card of the main card if it meant Chimaev was going to step in here. This fight is a banger, but Chimaev smash.
Chimaev do smash, but
Perry presents his hardest challenge.
Perry would,
because he's not going to give.
Yeah, that's Mike Perry's MO, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mike Perry's baby mama would be in the corner. That shit would be wild.
Yeah, pregnant too.
Yeah, bro.
And
he would have a 2-person corner.
Yes, he would.
So, it's an interesting matchup. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
not
probably,
now.
Probably not. But
I could totally see that being his. I don't know though. If he were to beat Leon Edwards in December,
he's the king of the world.
Even though at middleweight maybe he hasn't fought anybody top 10.
But if he ever goes back to middleweight, it's top 5 immediately if he beats Leon.
Probably. That's what I'm saying. So it's Perry might actually be below him.
Yeah, I will say there's time for something to work, even if it's not Chimaev. This is November 21st.
Yeah,
so we've got time.
I definitely want to see Mike Perry get a replacement here, and I respect the hell out of him for being like, give me your boy.
I will say,
send me location.
Yeah, Kevin Holland, who we're going to break down in a little bit, called out Mike Perry. He wants to fight him then.
That fight, now that's a fight that I want to see.
So, Kevin Holland, buddy, if you take care of business, turn around in 3 weeks. And
I'm loving Kevin Holland, man. That dude's been stepping up big time too.
Yeah.
That's been the beauty. We both keep talking about this point, but this quarantine has really brought out a lot of
badasses.
Yeah, it's really shown a lot in these guys who are fighting 3 times in 2 months and shit like that. That's
Chimaev being one of them.
Yeah, I mean twice in a week.
Yeah,
that's this is unforeseen
madness.
Time. Yeah, it's been madness, but it's beautiful chaos. I almost said beauty behind the madness. That is the Weeknd's album. That's not what I meant.
Oh,
but yes, it's been beautiful chaos, and I'm all here for it.
Yes, I love it.
But for now, that is the end of the news.
But we're still not previewing yet. Hold on. Sit down, grab your beers.
Down, boy.
Down. Easy, big fella. Easy. We got one more thing to touch on here.
Yep. Bellator 250 happened as you're
moments
watching
ago.
This last night.
Yes, for us. An hour ago.
Just wrapped up.
Yes.
Headlined by a huge fight
this was a big fight. Yeah.
Gegard Mousasi got the unanimous decision win over Douglas Lima. 48-47 and then 49-46 on the other 2 scorecards. Dom, what were your thoughts on the fight? We watched it together, so...
My thoughts are I'm shocked there were 2 judges that gave Lima 2 rounds?
No, only 1.
Okay.
The other 2 gave him 1 round.
Okay.
I'm surprised that he got...
got a round.
Well, 1 round I can see. I think he might have got the 4th or 5th. But the rest of the way...
Yeah, I mean...
What a performance by Mousasi.
Yeah, there's not a ton of takeaways here. We know Lima, of course, was going up for the champ status. He's the current welterweight champ. The vacant middleweight belt, so Gegard had lost that last year. Gegard looked good. The first round was like the most convincing round of the whole fight.
Yeah, it really was.
He looked like an animal that round, and then from there it was kind of lackluster. Both kind of had their moments where you're like, ooh, but... I don't know, maybe just for as big of a fight it was, didn't live up to the hype, which is not a bad thing. It can't always be that way.
It's one of those fights where you put 2 guys who are at the very top of their divisions or the very top of the sport.
These are 2 of the poster boys for Bellator.
Yeah. you pit them up against each other, and when you got guys that are so technical, so experienced, just two of the best.
Have a combined 78 wins.
That's wild. But you put them up against each other, it's not necessarily going to lead to like a all-time classic brawl.
Yeah.
You're going to get this more technical, fair, a more conservative approach from both guys. I will say for Lima, a little bit of a disappointing performance for a guy who can straight up murder people.
Yeah.
You look at that knockout over Michael Venom Page, just a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That guy will put you out.
Yes.
And he channeled his inner Tyron Woodley in this fight. He was constantly being backed up to the cage.
Yeah, he was fighting along that fence.
He was throwing he was trying just to throw huge shots.
The one shot.
Yeah, the one shot power. But they were very telegraphed. He wasn't really hiding his shots very well.
Musasi's been in there with literally the best in the world.
I thought it was a very convincing win for Musasi.
Yeah.
Say what you will.
He still got it.
Say what you will about the fight, but I mean, he's 35. He looked good.
I said to you when you came over to watch that fight an hour ago at this point, Musasi is probably top 3, top 5 fighters in UFC history to never get a title shot within the organization.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons why he left.
Yeah.
Because he probably should have had one by the time he was out of there. I don't think I mentioned this, but with this win, he won the vacant Bellator middleweight world title. So that was a huge fight to decide it. He's looked really good in his last few fights. Now he did have that loss to Rafael Lovato Jr. back in June 2019, but he did have a split decision win over Lyoto Machida, and then he gets this win here. So I don't know who necessarily is next for him. Some people might. You got other guys that obviously a guy like Rory McDonald still. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, Rory's not even in Bellator anymore.
He's in that awkward stage.
Yeah, he's in the PFL, but now the PFL. That's just so much keeps happening. I don't know who's next for him. Maybe you give a guy like Lovato a chance for the belt, since Lovato did beat him just a year ago. It's very interesting.
It is.
That makes him 47-7-2 now in his professional career.
He has literally beaten and fought everyone there is to fight.
Yeah.
Including Mark Hunt, who's a heavyweight, by the way.
And for Lima's only 32. He's still kind of in his prime.
And still a champ at the end of the day.
Yeah. He's 32-8. It's very reminiscent of, not as good of a fight, but it's reminiscent of when Holloway went up and lost to Poirier.
Gave it your all, didn't win, but you're still a champion. Yeah. And we saw what Max did, went right back down and defended the belt again before he lost it. So
I mean,
Lima's an absolute stud when we all know
he's still the king of welterweight, man.
Yeah.
That division still runs through him. Because you got, before this loss to Musasi that we just watched, he was on a 3-fight win streak. His last loss being to Rory McDonald back in January 2018. But his last win before this fight was to Rory McDonald.
Okay.
So redeeming that loss there. So he's still the king of welterweight, man. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. But Musasi is just a tough matchup for anybody.
Yeah, he's so good, so experienced, so technical.
That matchup with Musasi and Rory was hyped up quite a bit. But I remember seeing them in their face-offs and when they were in the cage. Musasi was so much bigger.
Yeah, and he's so calm and just... He's literally done it all, so obviously we shouldn't be too surprised, and he's so well-rounded. He's a stud on the ground, too. He's finished, how many wins does he have? 47? He's finished, 30-something of them. I mean, it's insane. And a good mixture of knockouts and submissions. He's always been, for years at this point, one of the best in the world, no matter what organization, and he just proved it again tonight.
Yeah, 100%. But Bellator's got a big fight coming up next weekend.
Yes, yeah.
Corey Anderson makes his debut against the Dutch legend, the Dutch kickboxer, who's 44.
Yeah.
Melvin Manhoff, a guy who, go look up that guy's highlight tape. That dude is dangerous. I don't care how old he is.
I think we might be looking at a next title challenger here, especially if Corey were to win.
If Corey wins for sure.
Coming from the UFC, and now they have a new light heavyweight champion. It's not Bader anymore, so that's an interesting one.
Agreed. But with that, we're going to get into breaking down this previewing hashtag UFC Vegas
12.
Let's do it. So
we got a really, really good fight night.
We do. We really do. I think we're going to start at the bottom here at lightweight. Or maybe I'll go through the card.
Yeah, go through the card. Let them know.
So we open this fight night, the main card, of course, with Bobby Green, our boy,
the king of the UFC.
He's on the main card. He's going up against Thiago Moises. Next fight at heavyweight, the big boys, Maurice Green, another Green, going up against Greg Hardy, everybody's favorite gent. Hello.
Former NFL defensive end.
Yep. The guy
very
good
stud
at one point in time. Then at middleweight, Kevin Holland, we just talked about him.
Yes.
He got his replacement fight.
Yes.
Charlie.
I think it's
Ontiveros. Yeah, that really wasn't that. I don't know why. That'll be at middleweight. Co-main. Featherweight.
Ooh, he's back.
Andre Touchy Feely.
Love that name.
Is going up against Mr. Camo Pants himself, Bryce Mitchell. How is it fair for Feely to have to fight someone who is going to be invisible?
Oh! What? And then
the main event.
I just got chills.
Uriah Hall.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Uriah Hall's fantastic.
Going up against one of the GOATs in potentially his last fight inside the UFC octagon.
Yes.
Anderson, the Spider,
yes.
Silva.
You think he's going to dress up, Noah? Or do we want to revisit that? Or
I'd rather not.
Okay.
the less we say about that, the better. But we're going to go back down to the
back down.
We'll get to the... I know you guys want to hear all about Uriah Hall, Anderson Silva. Dom's I'm in tears. Practically ripping his notepad in half here as he wants to talk about Anderson Silva so bad. But we start with Bobby Green and Thiago Moises.
Yes.
Break it down.
Bobby King Green is the king of the UFC Apex Center right now. 3-0 in 2020, all at the Apex, going for his 4th win of the year. But it does not come easy. Bobby Green is 27-10 with 8 KO TKOs, 9 submissions. He's 8-5-1 in the UFC. Again, on a 3-fight win streak, all in 2020, all at the UFC Apex. He's got notable wins against James Krause via TKO, Clay Guida via unanimous decision, and he got his, I don't want to say avenged because this was the draw on his record, but had a unanimous decision win against Lando Venata. Some notable losses to Edson Barboza via unanimous decision. Dustin the Diamond El Diamante Poirier via knockout. And then, of course, the draw on his record was with Lando the first time they matched up against one another. On the other end of the octagon, we've got Thiago, who is 13-4. 3 KO TKOs, 5 submissions. 3-2 in the UFC. Again, that comes with a little asterisk next to it. One of those wins in the Contender Series that we love so near and dear. Notable win, Michael Johnson in his most recent bout via submission. And then a notable loss, Noah, to Beneil Dariush. We're big fans of Mr. Beneil Dariush.
Big fans.
This is a fun one, a really fun one. But Bobby King Green is having that career resurgence right now that we've talked about a couple times. I'm going to go Bobby King Green, 4th win of the year, 4-0. Unanimous decision victory.
Nice.
Good fight, though. It will be a good fight.
Thiago, I do want to mention that last fight with Michael Johnson. Poor Michael Johnson.
Yes. You love talking about him.
Yeah. I'm just going to... This is going to be a tangent, but I got to talk about this.
Saddle up.
Michael Johnson has beaten the following guys in his career.
You're going to drop some people's jaws here in a second.
Tony Ferguson. Edson Barboza, Dustin Poirier.
To name a few.
Those are 3 of his 19 wins.
Yes.
My man is 19-16.
Yeah.
He has at times looked so good.
We're talking about 2 top 3 lightweights.
He has at times looked so good. And this last fight he had with Thiago Moises is another example of his bad luck, as I'm going to call it. Johnson looked crisp, looked great in that first round. Second round, him and Moises kind of collide. They kind of get tangled up. Moises gets an Achilles lock immediately. It's over. 25 seconds into the second round.
Yeah. That's Michael Johnson's career.
So I'm going to go with Bobby Green by decision. No, Moises, he did, that was a very slick submission.
Mm-hmm.
That could come in play here, I would say. You know, he does have 6 wins by submission. 9 of his 13 wins by finish.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there. Bobby Green has, even though, like, he's put on good fights, but it's so weird that, like, he's been in so many decisions.
Yeah, he's had 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Victory
Well,
loss.
yeah, then he had the 2 losses back-to-back.
And those were decisions,
the win
right?
before that was decision. My man has not been in a fight that has went less than 3 rounds since being knocked out by Dustin Poirier at the first ever card I watched live. See that? UFC 199, knocked out in less than 3 minutes.
Man, that wasn't even that long ago now that you think about it.
That was June 2016.
I mean, look at where Dustin specifically has came from there.
That was kind of start of Dustin's rise. Actually, I think after that's when he got put to sleep by Johnson, but it was kind of the start of him.
And then here we are with Bobby Green now having his resurgence.
Yeah.
I'm calling for top 15 if Bobby Green wins this. It's got to happen.
It'll be close, because I was really hoping he would get someone.
I thought it was going to be his next one.
I was hoping he would get someone maybe a little bit. Thiago, not to take anything away from him. I mean, he's had a decent run here, but you know, Michael Johnson's not a top 15 guy anymore, or I don't know if he's. Michael Johnson pisses me off, but I don't know if Bobby Green with the win here is necessarily like in the top 15 range, but I mean he's definitely close.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for it, but I wish he had someone with a little more weight to him, a little more, I don't know, a little more of an accredited opponent, I guess. But I think Green's gonna have a good performance here. I think he's gonna keep that
the ball rolling.
Yeah, keep it rolling. I think he's winning by unanimous decision as well.
The pace he's going, we might see him get a 5th one in by the end of the year. You never know.
You know, with all these decisions, the fact that he's in the cage so much, he's not
staying in shape.
He's not taking a ton of damage in any of these fights. He's been very sharp. Even though he hasn't necessarily been finishing guys.
His boxing has looked really crisp.
Like, just because someone's a decision fighter or is right now a decision fighter doesn't mean they're boring or that they're not good enough or whatever. He's just legitimately just looked so calm,
he looks
composed.
like a different fighter.
He looks very crisp in the cage, and I think that's going to continue here.
Yes.
Now we're going to get into some shit.
The big boys.
We're going from someone looking crisp to, I'm going to call this the Sloppy Joe fight of the evening.
What the? Wow.
No disrespect to either of these gents. We know that everybody loves Greg Hardy. You know what? I'm just gonna let you.
It's just a controversial guy, right? We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
It's like you love him, you hate him. Maybe you're right in the middle. But anyways, Greg Hardy, Maurice Green, the lone heavyweight action on the evening. Greg Hardy is 6-2 since beginning his professional MMA career. 5 of those wins via KO TKO. 3-2 with 1 no contest within the UFC. Notable wins against Jorgen De Castro, who at the time was undefeated. That was via unanimous decision. And then his notable loss was to Alexander Volkov, which actually, the more that I talked about this with Noah, in a fight he didn't look that bad in, especially because he took it on short notice. Volkov, we know, is a top 10, coming off a big win last weekend at 254. And then his other loss on his record was due to a disqualification because of an illegal knee. That also didn't give him much of a good reputation since that was really new into his career in the UFC, but I digress. Maurice is 9-4 with 2 KO TKOs, 5 submissions, 4-2 in the UFC. Notable wins against John Villante.
Yeah.
In his heavyweight debut.
I don't know.
All over the place here.
I don't know if you remember that fight.
Yes.
My boy's John.
Yeah.
The fuck happened to you, bro?
He needed to stay at light heavy, I think.
Bro, he looked pregnant.
Well, anyway.
No. Okay, hold on. Look, I'm a big guy. I'm not. What I mean by that is, at light heavyweight, he looked like he was built.
Yeah.
So it was just such a contrast to see my man with like a belly. But it wasn't like, when I say I'm not. It's not like he looked like, you know, I'm not saying he was like big country Roy Nelson, you know, big, but like he still had like his legs, his arms, they still looked strong. Even his back still looked like he was built well. But then he just had this like just larger gut going on, and it was just such a weird.
You kind of just tell like he just kind of put the pounds
That's what I
on.
mean by he looked pregnant. I mean he legitimately looked like everything else was the same.
Yeah.
And then he just had this.
Yeah.
It was a weird look for him. Was not about him at heavyweight, but anyways.
Maurice Green submitted him.
Yeah.
Notable losses for Maurice to Sergey Pavlovich via TKO, and then he lost to Alexei Oleinik via submission, which is no surprise because Alexei Oleinik submits fucking everybody that he fights.
Yes,
it seems like.
this is true.
I don't really know what I'm going to go with here, but I think we're going to see some wild stuff.
I could definitely see that. Maurice Green definitely will put it all on the line. Greg Hardy, for someone who fights at heavyweight, I will say he has a very, you know, for a guy who's not necessarily technique based, you know, he's still very young when it comes to his MMA experience. Like, he hasn't been doing it that long.
Yeah.
He has a very safe style.
Yeah, it started real wild and crazy, but you can tell he is starting to evolve.
It's starting to click.
Yeah. He did say, I saw some stuff today, he's not been very pleased with his career so far, and he said he's basically been like a D grade fighter, and he thinks that this weekend he's going to show how he's leveled up to a B level fighter. So I'm interested to see what he means by that and how he plans to go about it. However, I'm going to Maurice Green unanimous decision here.
Okay. I'm going to go Greg Hardy, second round TKO KO.
You think he goes to the finish?
I think Green's going to push him to, it's like, kill me or be killed.
Mm-hmm.
And Greg Hardy, dude's a physical specimen.
Yes.
Dude's an athlete like no other. Played in the NFL. Played in the NFL for years. Was not just played, was a Pro Bowler multiple times. Guy was incredible with the Carolina Panthers back in the day. I think he'll get the win here, and I think it's going to be a decisive one. But I do think Green's gonna. I think he'll have his moves. I think this one will be fun.
Yeah.
I hope so. Anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, we move on to Kevin Holland, Charlie Ontiveros. Tom, I know you had your work cut out for you here with the late replacement. Let's see how you did.
I did all right, maybe. Maybe. Anyways, Kevin, who we've just talked about a month ago. When did he fight? September 19th or something like that?
He fought on it was the card Woodley Covington.
Okay. Oh, God, yeah. It wasn't that long ago.
It was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So, if you listen to that episode, you kind of already know where I'm coming from. If you haven't, welcome to the Below Average Joe's MMA podcast, first off. Kevin Holland is 19-5. He's got 9 KO, TKOs, 6 submissions, 15 out of 19 via finish. Then he's 6-2 in the UFC. Again, that comes with a little asterisk. He was in the Contender Series that we love. Notable wins against Gerald Mearchart via split decision. TKO'd Jaquin Buckley. I had to mention that because of Buckley's recent success and the viral kick. And
It's Joaquin.
Joaquin, thank you. That's why you're the 10 out of 10 guy.
We continue.
Okay. And a split decision over Darren Stewart, who we most recently saw fight as well. He's coming into this fight on a 3-fight win streak. Notable losses. Noah, he made his UFC debut against Thiago Santos.
Yeah, he did.
Throw him into the wolves, why don't you? But lost via unanimous decision, so didn't get finished. And then lost to Brendan Allen via submission. The late replacement, Charlie Ontiveros, is 11-6 with 4 KO TKOs, 2 submissions. This is going to be his UFC debut, but out of his 6 finishes, 3 of those have came in the first round. But I really like Kevin Holland. And I think he really wants to fight Mike Perry. Therefore, he's going to come out and starch Charlie. I'm going second round KO TKO for Kevin Holland here. And then he fights Mike Perry at UFC 255, November 21st. Book it.
I like it. Do you know who Charlie Ontiveros' first professional loss was to?
Tell me.
Michael Venom Page.
No kidding.
Yep.
What, was that in Bellator?
At least I hope this is...
the same guy?
I hope this is the same Michael Page. Now he got me thinking I should check. Yeah, it was at Bellator 144.
Wow.
He fought at Bellator 144.
Where's Charlie most recently coming from? Organization-wise. Really, is it Bellator?
Sweet, Dom. Put me on the spot, dude.
I didn't know. I thought you had it up.
I'm just kidding. He last fought for Fury Fighting Championship.
Okay.
Definitely one of those... the
amateur kind of... not amateur.
For the regional circuit, it's definitely on a higher stage than, some of these that we've heard.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was where he's coming from. I'm definitely going Holland here. I'm a big Holland guy. I think we both are in that way. I'm also rooting for him to kind of make a statement here and therefore be able to get that fight with Mike Perry. I'm actually predicting that's what's going to happen. As for how he's going to do it.
You know you want to do KO TKO. Just pick the round. Come on.
Yeah. I was just looking.
Join me. Do what I did.
Ontiveros has 6 losses.
Yes.
All 6 of them are by TKO.
Oh.
Yeah, he's being finished.
All 6 of his losses, he's been finished.
First round. Well, I'm saying.
Oh, I thought you said he's been finished.
The look you just gave me. I mean, it's got to be 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
But I'm going first round TKO KO for.
Ooh. Oh my.
Yeah, I just saw that and I went, huh. His nickname is the American Bad Boy.
Yeah.
Well.
Kind of reminiscent of the Huntington Beach Bad Boy.
I'm just gonna skip past that one. We move on to the co-main event here. I'm very excited for this one.
Mr. Arkansas.
Actually, this is probably, this is my pick for fight of the night.
Yeah,
I think
I'm gonna go with you.
And this is the fight that I'm most excited for on this card. Just from a stylistic matchup, obviously, Anderson Silva's back and Uriah Hall, so it's a big fight. But Andre Touchy-Feely,
been there and done it all.
Been there and touched and fell. You really had to say that after I said Touchy-Feely. He's going up against Camo Man, Bryce Mitchell.
Now, if you're confused on what we're talking about, Bryce Mitchell is from Arkansas.
Yes.
Big camouflage fan. He's been calling for wearing a camo fight kit in the UFC ever since he essentially came into the UFC. And it's happening for the first time. Reebok has done his own camouflage fight kit. Like you said in the intro to this preview here, Feely can't fight a guy that he can't see, Noah. So I'm obviously going to pick Bryce Mitchell here. But first, I got to go to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
Bryce Mitchell is 13-0, undefeated, 9 submissions, including a twister. A twister. 4-0 in the UFC. Notable wins against Charles Rosa, which was his most recent victory. 8 out of his 9 finishes, and since they all are submissions, 8 out of his 9 submissions have came in the first round. Mr. Bryce Mitchell doesn't mess around when he's got you on the ground. Andre Touchy-Feely, by the way, 21-7, 9 KO TKOs, 3 submissions, 9-6 in the UFC. Been in there with the who's who. I had to mention Artem Lobov because he's the greatest fighter of all time. Notable win, Andre beat Artem Lobov, unanimous decision. Beat Dennis Bermudez via split decision. Miles Jury, unanimous decision. Most recently, Charles Jourdain via split decision. Notable losses to the greatest featherweight of all time, Max Holloway via submission. Yair Rodriguez via KO. Lost to Calvin Kattar via decision. Michael Johnson, who Noah loves talking about, split decision, and Mr. Sadiq Yusuf himself via unanimous decision. This is Bryce's toughest task so far in the UFC.
I would agree.
Very interesting matchup here. Andre, again, he's been in there with the who's who. He's got the experience advantage here. But Bryce Mitchell has proven to be a force, especially in this featherweight division here.
Well, sorry, you want to finish?
I was just going to finish off with the prediction.
Ahead.
I'm going Bryce Mitchell, but decision. I don't think he's going to be able to get another submission. But it could be the power of the camo.
I think I'm going the same route here. I'm doing Mitchell by decision. I did want to mention that Andre Fili's only lost twice by submission in his career. Hasn't happened. It happened twice in a year span, and that was once to Max Holloway by guillotine, and then a little less, 11 months later, he lost via flying triangle choke to Godofredo Pepe.
Wow.
So, hasn't lost by submission since. I think you're going to see a very fun, stylistic matchup here.
Bryce Mitchell is one of the most fun grapplers to watch fight. He is mesmerizing when he gets on the ground, all the stuff that he does. Like, if you're one of the people out there that don't enjoy watching the grappling aspect of mixed martial arts, tune into this co-main event because Bryce Mitchell can put on a show on the ground.
Bryce Mitchell versus Charles Rosa. Charles, no disrespect, tough-ass guy. That was a very one-sided fight.
Yeah.
One of the best fights on that whole card.
Yeah.
And it's the one that opened the whole night at UFC 249.
Yes.
One of the most fun fights to watch that whole night. I'm telling you, man, that guy's a different animal.
And a character, too.
Yeah.
Everybody loves this kid.
Loves Arkansas.
Young up-and-comer. He's ranked 15th, I think, in the division. So, getting a win over a guy like Andre Fili, we could be on the cusp of here soon, Noah.
What do you think?
Or should I save this for Monday? No, I'm going to say it right now. Because I'm probably going to say it again Monday.
I think I know what you're going to say.
You know what I'm going to say. A little Bryce Mitchell. A little Sadiq Yusuf. Ooh, baby. But anyway, he's got to get through. Andre. Touchy. Fili.
I like how they're treating Mitchell here. They're bringing him up the way you should.
Yes.
This is definitely a test. Fili has been in there with the best of them. He's been in some wars.
Mm-hmm.
He's had his big moments in the octagon. But he's not a top 10 guy.
Right.
Is he even a top 15?
No, he's not ranked.
He's not ranked. But he has been in the top 15 before.
They might even be tied for 15th or something.
Yeah, he's been
he's
in the
right
top.
there.
He's right at the cusp.
Yeah.
But he's, it's a good step up for Mitchell here.
Mm-hmm.
And with the win here, I mean, I'm definitely all for him versus
The sky's the limit for this kid.
Yeah.
Super young, so talented. Especially if he can even improve his stand-up, too. You don't want to get on the ground with this guy.
No. And I think that's going to be kind of the test here is Fili's probably going to keep it on the feet.
He's going to try.
I mean, if you look at Fili's, method of winning here, 21 wins, he's only got 12 of his 21 are by finish. I don't want to say only.
3 submissions.
9 knockouts.
Yeah,
so he's definitely going to be looking to keep this on the feet, I would assume. Because if not, then I'm going to be questioning a lot about that decision.
Yeah.
But it'll be very interesting to see if Mitchell's able to get it to the ground. If he is, how successful he'll be able to be. I mean, we saw the way he looked against Rosa, and Rosa was able to pull it out. Fili's got that kind of... He is like that. He's a guy that'll gut it out.
Yeah.
So I think you could be in for a similar-looking performance here. I think Fili will have more moments than Rosa did against Mitchell, though. But with that, we are at the main event of the evening. Dom's heart is not ready for this.
No.
Uriah Hall versus Anderson, the Spider, Silva. Dom's got a whole page of notes for this fight. Buckle in, everybody.
Yeah, you're going to want to really listen up here.
Because
I'm about to take you on a trip down memory lane.
He's going to go Uriah Hall. And now for Anderson Silva.
Basically.
And just to be clear, Dom's really going to relish in this.
I am going to very much enjoy this.
He loves breaking this down, but this is potentially the one and only time
this is it.
you will ever,
yeah,
ever get to break down Anderson Silva on this podcast.
Yes.
You're tearing up as I'm saying that.
Undoubtedly my all-time favorite, and it probably will never change. Ever. But first, Mr. Uriah Hall himself, the number 10 ranked middleweight. He's 15-9, 11 KO TKOs, 1 submission, 8-7 in the UFC, but another guy that's been in there with the toughest that there is. Notable wins against Chris Lieben via TKO, Thiago Santos actually back in the day via decision. Gegard Mousasi, who we just spoke of, he TKO'd him with a nasty spinning back kick to the freaking face. Oh, yeah. God. And then his most recent win was Antonio Carlos Jr. in a very close split decision. Notable losses to Kelvin Gastelum in the Ultimate Fighter finale, and that was a split decision. Then Robert Whittaker via unanimous decision. Got TKO'd by Derek Brunson. Got TKO'd by Mousasi. I don't remember which one came first, but they have fought twice.
His loss was
a
rematch.
First. The loss was in the rematch.
Uriah's loss was the rematch.
Okay. And then he actually lost to Paulo Costa. That was a wrecking ball there. TKO there for Costa.
Go ahead. Red carpet.
Anderson, the Spider, Silva, 34 wins, and as much as it pains me to say, 10 losses. 23 KO TKOs, 3 submissions, 17-6 with 1 no contest in the UFC. It's time for the history class here. Because every fight in the UFC for Anderson Silva is notable. And I don't think that can even be debated. So this is going to take a second here. Notable wins. UFC debut against, at the time, for those of you that are new to the sport, Chris Lieben was like the toughest son of a bitch there was. And the craziest son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Ultimate Fighter Season 1 alum. Everybody loved the dude. Silva came in and starched him in less than a minute.
Incredible debut.
One of the best debuts.
Earned him a title shot.
Yes, immediately. Which leads me into our boy, Rich Franklin, the Ohio kid.
This one hurts me. My dad's met him.
Rich Franklin times 2, I might add. First time via KO, set his nose to the opposite direction. It's quite disgusting. And then in the rematch, a little bit later, Silva again gets a TKO finish there. Then we move on to Travis Lutter, TKO. Nate the Great Marquardt, TKO. Dan Henderson, submission. Then, and at this time, this was relatively unheard of. Silva goes up to 205 because there's no one else to beat at middleweight. Catches a body kick that James Irvin threw. Catches it like he was catching a football.
Yep.
Throws the right hand and knocks his ass out. I have a shirt in my closet that I dug out when I was home last of this event.
Oh, really?
Yes, I'll have to do a little story on the podcast to share with everybody. But James Irvin, his light heavyweight debut, KOs him. If you ain't seen that, it's quite incredible. Then he TKOs Patrick Cote. Cote suffers some sort of knee injury there, but it's a TKO. Then a Talis latest unanimous decision. Then he jumps back up to 205 and embarrasses Forrest Griffin.
You're not kidding.
I mean, we love Forrest. We've met the guy, love the guy. But, wowie.
There's levels.
Yes. There are levels of this game, and Silva showed it there. Then he goes back down to fight Damian Maia in a fight that's not loved by many people, including myself, but gets a unanimous decision victory there. Then we go in to one of the greatest rivalries in UFC history. Mr. Chael P. Sonnen dominated Anderson Silva for 4.5 rounds. Something we had never, ever, ever seen.
4.5 rounds, though.
Yeah.
That's not a full fight.
Because in this fight, and I think we agree on this.
Well, sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Joe Rogan on commentary goes, is it too early for Chael in his corner to start celebrating?
Well, Joe Rogan, it is. Anderson Silva pulls off the greatest comeback win in UFC history.
Yep.
A triangle choke / armbar He did both of them, kind of. It was weird. Locks it in with 2.5 minutes left in the fight. Chael P on his way to a dominant. We had never seen Silva be tested, hardly even touched. And Chael dominated him, but gets the triangle submission. Greatest comeback in the UFC history. It's absolutely insane. Then they rematch a little bit later, and he starches him there. Chael goes in for a spinning
he does
back
spinning back fist, slipped, fell against cage.
Yeah, and then from there,
that needed
the sternum. Hurts me to think about it. So TKO's Chael in the rematch. Then the front kick, the spider kick, as it has become known as, against Vitor Belfort. The Battle of Brazil, the old school, which at the time versus the new school. Silva was becoming the new. He was already a superstar, but he was kind of taking that place that Vitor had held so prominently for so long for Brazil. KO'd him in an absolutely disgusting front kick. Then goes on to fight Yushin Okami, who was a stud at the time. Sexy Yami, was that the guy? Or is that
no, that's
another one, isn't
Sexy Yama.
Sexy Yama.
Yoshihiro
Akiyama, yeah. Anyways, Yushin Okami TKO's him.
Sexy Kami.
Then he takes one last trip up to light heavyweight and brutalizes Stephan Bonner and lands a nasty body knee.
That fight, Anderson literally standing straight up against the cage.
Yes.
Stephan tries to throw like a spinning back kick.
Yes.
Anderson gets out of the way, goes
right back.
He's like, "Come on!"
Stands there.
Gives him a, "Come on, let's go."
Yes.
And then 20 seconds later is like, "All right, I'm done with this. I've had my fun." Finishes him.
Anderson was that first real showman we had ever seen, and no one quite did it like him. Unfortunately, ends up costing him, which I'll get into. But he does have one more notable win. It was against Derek Brunson. A questionable decision victory there, but nevertheless a win. Notable losses. This is where I'm in some pain here. He finally loses the middleweight crown to Chris Weidman via KO. And Noah, he was doing a little showboating, huh? Just a little bit, as he's so known to do.
Yeah.
He's dancing around, wiggling, acting like Weidman had hurt him. But little did he know that Weidman was going to basically give him a big old fuck you and lands a brutal hook that knocked out Anderson Silva, and at the time was the most shocking victory probably in UFC history. And at that time, probably the biggest upset in UFC history, even though Weidman at the time was undefeated.
He was, but
Silva...
His best win going in, I think the win that got him that title shot was against Mark Munoz.
Yeah.
Who was ranked, I'm sure, but this is...
Silva was looked at as unbeatable. Untouchable, outside of Chael
That's
Sonnen.
why you had a guy like Weidman even getting a shot, because Anderson had beaten everybody.
Yeah. So then obviously there's going to be a rematch because Silva has held the title for so long, which I'll get into later. And this is really where I think the career plummeted here. Anderson literally snapped his leg in half. I remember watching it live.
God, I couldn't
in the
imagine.
basement with Dad and all of his friends, and I was utterly speechless.
I can't imagine what was going through your mind at that point.
Little Dom was not very happy.
I can't believe you're still here watching to this day.
Yeah. I guess at that time I wasn't little anymore. But anyways, younger Dom.
Yeah.
So he snaps his leg in half, obviously loses the fight there, unfortunately. Then has a long layoff, goes on to fight Michael Bisping in an incredible fight, a fight I think we both agreed, Silva, we had winning that fight. Arguably, he knocked out Bisping. It's very controversial.
Talk about Saved by the Bell.
Yeah. Did he hit it like as it was sounding?
Yes,
or
it was literally as it...
He knocked out Michael Bisping with a flying knee. Nevertheless, Bisping gets the decision victory. Bisping's known to have a couple very questionable...
I think that one was still close
decisions.
enough to where you could give it to Bisping.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't watched it in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I'll admit that. But I remember thinking Silva won. Now, the fact that he did basically knock him out may have had a bit of may have had
a little bit of a factor.
May have been like the overarching thing in my head the whole rest of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
But it matters. I mean, you look at both their faces at the end of the fight.
Yeah.
Bisping was busted
up. Similar to when he fought Dan Henderson in another questionable. But this isn't about Bisping.
Yeah, right.
Then he steps in on literally like 2 days' notice, light heavyweight, even though he only weighed like 193 pounds, to fight Daniel Cormier in essentially attempt to save the pay-per-view UFC 200. Gets kind of dominated by DC, but gave him some scares when the fight was on the feet. DC even admitted got very injured with a body kick, but unfortunately not enough time there for Silva. I think it happened late into that third round. So loses to DC. Then, in what has really taken a special place in my heart, his fight with Israel Adesanya, one of my favorite fights ever. Just, to me, that's that passing of the torch that I talk about with you all the time. Gave Izzy a run for his money, had his moments. Very fun fight. Israel Adesanya, who's now the middleweight king, won that via unanimous decision. And then his most recent fight, another leg injury for Anderson Silva, but this time due to Cannonier. I'm not going to take it away from him. Cannonier landed a brutal leg kick, dropped Silva, and that was all she wrote. So loses to Cannonier via TKO. I'm going to rattle off some accolades here before we predict.
I just want to mention between the Daniel Cormier and Israel Adesanya fight he fought, why did I just blank on his name? We just talked about him. Who did I say Cannonier was going to fight next?
Brunson.
Derek Brunson.
I talked about him in notable wins.
Oh, my fault.
You're good.
But I just want to mention because
it was the questionable
because he has most of his losses have kind of been on this string.
Yeah.
Coming off that Cormier loss, it was a fight that he really didn't need to take. I mean, he did it to save the card.
Yeah, exactly.
So it wasn't really looked at as like a bad loss by any means, even though he was dominated on a day's notice. That Brunson fight, however, his only win in this span since, he did have the Nick Diaz one that's been overturned. But that fight I thought he lost.
The Diaz one?
Brunson.
Oh, Brunson. Yeah, it was close.
It's kind of weird how I thought he won against Bisping, but I thought he lost against Brunson. Yeah. So either way, he's had a tough go with things here in the late part of his career.
Yeah,
but I'll let you go into the accolades because that's what we want to focus on here.
Yeah, I should do the accolades now or after predictions? What's better? What do you think? Do them now?
Yeah.
Since I'm on this whole Silva spiel.
Go ahead.
14 out of his 17 UFC wins are via finish. That ties him for second all-time in finishes. A 16-fight win streak, which to this day is a UFC record because John Jones has a no contest in the middle of all of his wins that cuts that off. So he's still the top of the top for UFC win streak at 16, 13 of those at middleweight, 3 at light heavyweight, 10 title defenses, which is second all-time, behind Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson with 11 consecutive defenses. 9 title fight finishes, UFC record. The longest reigning UFC champion in history. 2,457 days.
It's a lot of days.
Became the champion October 14th of 2006. I was 8 years old.
I assume I would have been too.
You were going on 9. Lost the belt July 6th of 2013. Nearly 7 full years of being a champion. 14 post-fight bonuses, 17 pay-per-view main events. That doesn't even take into consideration the fight night main events.
Think about this. When he won the belt, we were in 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And when he lost the belt, we were freshmen in high school.
Yeah. Think about it.
Just
think about it.
Maybe even sophomore in high school, actually.
The biggest problem here, and it's obvious, and I think it's more and more as time goes on, he's becoming lesser in the GOAT talk, is because He stayed around longer than he should have. That's it. I think the first Weidman win was fine, he got caught and it was his fault. But when he broke his leg, that, as I already mentioned, was that was the turning point of his career. And from there, we've just seen so many losses. And granted, it's all against top-tier competition. One that's questionable that he should have won, but there just comes a time where he should have just stopped, and he would still be amongst many others in the GOAT talk. But with all these recent losses, you kind of have to take it into consideration. Still my GOAT. Maybe it's just because this was the guy. Like, Chuck Liddell introduced me to the UFC, but this was the guy where I fell in love. And now, it's October 31st when he fights. Halloween, the Spider makes one final ride to the octagon. When those lights dim, Noah, ain't no sunshine, and that plays over the speakers, I'm gonna be feeling some type of way.
Yeah.
Do you want to give your prediction? I've been really going here. I'll let you kind of give your thoughts on all this.
You couldn't have put it any more beautifully, Dom.
Thank you.
I'll talk a little bit about this whole week, how confusing Anderson Silva's comments have been. Not to change the mood here, because we're definitely doing a lot. We are operating here as if this is his last fight.
Yeah, he's 45 years old.
Let me just say, I am assuming this will be his last fight in the UFC.
Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
Did you catch that?
His interview with Ariel Helwani?
Yes,
correct?
Yeah.
My man, it seems like every time he's been talking about retirement since the first Weidman loss.
Yeah.
Which is really right around that time when he probably should have been done in retrospect.
If not the first one, I really think the broken leg should have been it. But
he said he believes, God, I know English isn't his first language, but he was wording it basically saying he believes this will be his last time fighting in UFC.
Yeah. Now keep in mind, he technically, I believe, has 2 fights left on his contract.
He does.
But apparently maybe it was just agreed upon between him and the UFC. The UFC probably didn't want him to fight at all. Anderson's like, well, I got 2 fights on my contract. And they're like, you know what, let's give you one more main event, kind of meet in the middle. I don't know all that type of detail stuff. So
it's basically, he was kind of saying, we'll see. And I'm like,
I don't want.
Come on,
I don't want. I saw another interview. I think it was with someone from MMA Junkie. He said if he were to win this, and he were to get that second fight of the contract, he would be interested in running it back with Bisping in a legend fight, or revert one of his worst performances with Nick Diaz.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah. I don't...
He said Michael Bisping?
Yes. He said those were the 2 fights that intrigue him if he were to win and get another fight.
You're aware Bisping will never be able to fight again.
Because of his eye?
He has one eye.
Yeah, he does have one eye.
Dom, I don't think you understand what I'm saying there. He has one eye.
Yeah, other eye is glass, I think.
He can't fight. No medical personnel will let him fight.
It might plop out in the middle.
He literally can't see out of one eye. Okay, Anderson, you need to chill, bro. I'm trying to celebrate you, my man. And now he's going down a danger. Okay, look. This needs to be his last fight.
This needs to be it.
However, to headline a ONE FC card.
You talked about this the other day.
At the end of 2021.
I sent you a gif of Steve Harvey of him going, oh, hell no.
46-year-old Anderson Silva will headline a card against Vitor Belfort for ONE FC.
No. No.
Okay, I'm going to believe this. I think this is his last fight.
I really hope so.
And it's not an easy fight for him.
No, it's not at all.
Now, Uriah Hall is 36. He is a little bit older, but a guy who is so dangerous on the feet.
He is very dangerous.
However, Uriah Hall is always this guy. He's kind of frustrating in the same sense that I was mentioning about Michael Johnson, where it's like some nights he's on and some nights he's just not.
And when he's not on, it's not a
It's
really
not.
close.
It's not promising.
Yeah. It's interesting for him.
So this is a really tough fight to predict. It really is. Like it honestly is. It's not like I know Silva has had a tough go with things, but he's really been fighting the best of the best. I mean, that last loss to Cannonier was just a number one contender fight.
And he didn't look awful. It just there wasn't a lot that happened.
It was just the one leg kick to the leg that had already.
The fight with Izzy was like, damn.
Yeah, and I know maybe Izzy was taking it a little easy on him. I get it, but he still
Silva was
good.
landing. Oh, God, I love that fight so much.
Yeah. Where do I go here? I'm gonna go with Uriah Hall. But I do think, I think it's going to go to a decision.
I don't think this fight's going 5 rounds, no matter who wins. Actually, okay, listen, I'm just going to be honest with you. My mind says pick Uriah Hall, you dumbass. But my heart...
One last ride. Do it. I know you want to do it. Say Anderson Silva first round submission right now.
Anderson Silva turns back the damn clock, finishes out on top, main event, Halloween, the spider's web. Uriah Hall, dare I say, will get stuck in the spider's web. Anderson Silva via... Can I be fun? Can I be fun?
Oh, yeah.
Second round KO TKO Anderson Silva.
You heard it here first.
I'm
going Uriah Hall by decision. I actually think this fight might be a little bit dull.
See, in my head, I feel like if Uriah wins, he's going to finish Anderson.
You would assume.
But, I mean, Anderson... has only been knocked out.
I literally don't know how to... Like, this
I have no idea what's going to happen.
Especially when it comes to the method of victory.
This might be one of the hardest, like, legitimately
Do I really...
one of the hardest.
Because if Uriah Hall finishes Silva, it's probably going to be pretty brutal.
Uh-oh.
I've yet to see Anderson outside of the Weidman. And the Weidman loss, it was just a... boop. Like, yeah, he was fucking head bobbing against the canvas. But, I mean, it was just a little bop. And then he was down.
It was.
He hasn't been. I mean, the Cannonier leg kick was like.
Yeah. Other than that, we've not. His chin's probably in good health.
I mean,
outside of his age,
Izzy hit him with some really clean shots. Nearly dropped him with one, but didn't. So I mean, I've yet to see him be brutally KO'd.
Yeah.
So I'm just imagining Uriah landing a spinning
kick to the face.
I just can't imagine it. That's why I don't know what's gonna happen. For you people that might listen to this and listen to our predictions, and maybe I've heard some people say that they might place bets based on our predictions.
Whoa.
Do not do it on this fight.
No, if I'm you guys, I'm betting the house on a Silva second round KO TKO.
Okay, well,
no, I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
I would not bet the house on Uriah Hall by decision because.
I don't know what's going to happen.
I literally have no clue.
I have no idea what's going to happen.
I will say is to the benefit of this fight.
Yeah.
Because it intrigues me that much more.
It is very intriguing, yeah.
But again, you guys can catch these fights Saturday night.
I think it's 7? I think it's 7 o'clock. Because Ohio State plays a night game that night at 7:30 or 8.
Y'all have the internet. Look it up.
Yeah, look it up.
But it's going to be on ESPN
Plus. Yes.
So make sure to get that. It's only $5 a month. Y'all.
If anything, tune in to watch. If you've never watched Anderson Silva before, I'm sure he's going to have some tricks up his sleeve, as he always does. Yep. If you've never watched him, I know he's not in his prime no more, but you got to tune in once. You got to see the legend. Legends never die.
One last ride.
One last ride.
And with that, we are closing the book. Not really, because we will.
Well, yeah, we're gonna reopen it.
that is hashtag UFC Vegas 12. As for the start of next week, Monday, yes. We're gonna be recapping, reviewing all the action that happened Saturday night on that episode.
Yes. On the episode, on the fight card.
On that episode Monday.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I don't know if I worded that a little weird.
No, I get what you're saying. Sorry.
As for Wednesday, we took a rain check, but we back.
It hurt us not doing it. Like, we wanted this.
Who's next?
Part
episode 2.
Yeah.
But we're not no spinner wheel.
No. No need.
We are doing the lightweight division for that episode. You guys need to check it out. We're really going to go into some details.
Yeah, as Trey Songz says, we're about to dive in.
Ooh, nice.
Yes. Be ready.
We are about to dive in.
Yes, it's going to be...
We are going to be matchmaking the shit out of the lightweight division.
Yes.
So I'm very excited to go over that one. As always, that's Monday and Wednesday. But Dom, tell the good people where they can find you on social media.
You can find me, Twitter and Instagram, at DSalee14. Been trying to engage a little more with MMA Twitter on my own personal one. I interacted with MMA Gone Wild. That's kind of a big MMA Twitter thing. So just, not so much, but a little bit. And then the podcast you can find on Twitter and Instagram at BAJ_MMA podcast. And I just want to say, everyone, enjoy your Halloween weekend. Stay safe out there. If you get the chance, tune in to see some Anderson Silva action. If not, we've got you covered on Monday.
Yes. Well said.
Thanks.
Everyone stay safe out there this weekend. Just stay inside. Don't. I know it's tempting. But take it
from an experienced vet in yourself.
It's not worth it. It's not worth the pain.
Just set up a little bucket of water, put some apples in your house, go bobbing for apples, right? That's a Halloween thing. Right? Isn't that
Oh my god. You want to hear a funny story?
Sure. Wait, do you want this on the...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So, have you ever noticed I have a really small mouth? Where are you going?
Now that you mention it...
I have a pretty small mouth.
I've never measured mouths before, but I'll take your word on it.
I got a big-ass head, but I got a small mouth.
Where are you going with this?
Hold on now. Damn, girl. All right, hold on. I'm not capable of bobbing for apples.
In this episode.
Like, I would literally drown before I'd be able to get one.
Tell them where you're at on social.
As for me, if you go to my bio on Twitter or Instagram at ntbaker_, you'll be taken to our link tree, which will give you the links to all of our social media platforms, along with all the platforms that the podcast is on, including but not limited to, well, kind of limited to, but including our Twitter, our Instagram, the YouTube channel, the Anchor page, Spotify, Apple, Google, and there's a link on there if you want to become a supporter of the podcast, just to provide just a little money, a little monetary amount each month. All that money goes back into improving the podcast, improving the audio, potentially down the line doing a video podcast. So that's what all that goes for. But again, we appreciate all your support, no matter if you're giving us money or not. But again, find that at my bio at ntbaker_. Let us know how your apple bobbing goes this weekend.
Leave us a voice message.
I'm assuming it'll go a lot better than mine. But with that, we're out. And we're going to see y'all on Monday. Just end it.